चराचरं तत्पदं दर्शितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमो ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय.
Okay, thank you, Adda. Who wants to do the dhyanam? Kinisha, Kinita, go ahead.
वसुदेवासुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं मूकं करोति पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवम्.
Okay, thank you. So now we'll move on to the verses for chapter 3. So we did chapter 1, chapter 2. Chapter 1 was Arjuna Vishada Yoga. Arjuna was confused. He didn't know whether or not he wanted to fight against his relatives. Chapter 2 is Sri Krishna trying to convince Arjuna to fight and kind of teaching Arjuna about the self and who the difference between the body and the soul and how the body is and how different the two are, the soul and the body. So now we'll move on to chapter 3, which is Karma Yoga. That's the name of the chapter, or also known as Yoga of Action in English. Okay. So everyone take out their Gitas and flip to chapter 3, verse 1. And once you do that, put a thumbs up so I know that you guys are ready. Okay. Okay, sounds good. So I think everyone is ready. So again, before you read a chapter, or whenever you do read a chapter, you always have to say the number of the chapter and then also the name of the chapter, okay? So what that would be like is Ataha Srimad Bhagavad Gita. This is the third chapter, and in Sanskrit that's Tritiya. So Tritiya Adhyayaha Karma Yogaha. Okay? Now let's go to verse 1. I'll read it once, I'll break it apart, and then the third time we do it, we'll do it all together, okay? Arjuna Yuvacha Jayashi Chetkarmanaste Mata Buddhi Janardana Tat Kim Karmani Ghore Mam Niyojaya Shikeshava. Jayashi Chetkarmanaste Mata Buddhi Janardana Tat Kim Karmani Ghore Mam Niyojaya Shikeshava. Jayoshi Chetkarmanaste Mata Buddhi Janardana Tat Kim Karmani Ghore Mam Niyojaya Shikeshava.
Okay, guys. So, before we dive in, I'm just going to let you know. So, as Oshri is going to be chanting the verses, or if we alternate, either ways, we will have the verses on the screen, okay? So, I will have them on the screen. So, it's, let's say, even if you don't have the book, but even though you should, you can always refer to the screen. Does that sound good? So, you will know which verses we're talking about, discussing, or chanting. So, yes, this is the first verse of chapter 3, and it starts with Arjuna asking a question once again. So, here Arjuna says, Jayashi chit karma naste. So he says, if you consider knowledge, buddhi, which is how they say it here, superior to action, which is karma, it says, Mata buddhi Janardana. It says, oh Janardana, this is your opinion, right? And it says, Tat kim karmani ghorimam. It says, then why are you urging me to kind of engage in this terrible action, like in the battle, right? And he says, Niyojaya Shikeshava. He's like, why do you compel me to do so? It's like, he's saying that, oh Krishna, if you do, excuse me, if you believe that wisdom is indeed superior to action, then why do you urge me to like kind of engage and act in this terrible battle? And so he's kind of saying your teachings seem contradictory to me, right? Does that make sense? Oh, I can't see you guys, by the way. So you guys are gonna have to say yes, no. Are we good? Okay. Any questions, comments, anything? No? Okay. Do you want to move on?
Yeah, we can move on. Because the next verse will just add on to like verse 1, yeah. Okay, so let's do verse 2 then.
Do you want to alternate, or Shuri, or?
Yeah, do you want to do it?
Yeah, I can do it. We
That's
can
fine.
alternate, so that works out. Vyamisrinev vakyena buddhimohaya sivame tadekam vada nishchitya yena shreyohamapnuyam. Vyamisrinev vakyena buddhimohaya sivame tadekam vada nishchitya yena shreyohamapnuyam. Vyamisrinev vakyena buddhimohaya sivame tadekam vada nishchitya yena shreyohamapnuyam.
So in this verse, Arjuna continues on by saying that the words that Sri Krishna, the teachings that he taught in chapter 2 is conflicting with his mind because he believes that engaging in war doesn't follow the teachings that Sri Krishna told him in the previous chapter. So he says here, Vamishrineva, conflicting. It's confusing. Sri Krishna's words, Vakyena, is confusing Arjuna's intellect, Arjuna's understanding. And you see Mohayashi, which means confused. And Arjuna is asking Sri Krishna to teach him the highest good, Shreya, that will alone definitely lead to his highest good. So here you can see that Arjuna is asking for the best kind of knowledge. So in a way, he's asking for the teaching that will best show him on the right path. So he's not settling for a teaching that Sri Krishna would normally give him. He's saying to give the best kind of teaching to him. And that just shows how Arjuna, he's determined to understand what Sri Krishna is trying to say, even though he says that he doesn't want to fight in the war, even though he has his own like understanding that he thinks that what Sri Krishna is telling him to do is wrong, he still wants to understand Sri Krishna's point and learn from him. So we see that in chapter 2. Remember that turning point that we talked about, how he turned to Sri Krishna as Sri Krishna being the teacher and him as the student or the shishya. So you see that kind of understanding, that relationship here in this verse, because Arjuna is asking for guidance from Sri Krishna.
Yeah, so Arjuna's a very practical person, right? He's asking these questions. You will see these questions much later on in the upcoming chapters too. He's very like, whatever you're saying should work on, like, the way I do the things. Like, it should work, and it should work right now, like in the battlefield, right? He's trying to be very practical about it and make sense of it. So, and he's like, I understand what you're saying to Sri Krishna, right? He's like, shall develop buddhi. That's what he kind of took away from chapter 2. And then he's like, I shall develop this attitude. But then he's like, why should I work, right? He's like, why should I waste my energy in this work, especially this terrible work like a war? And it's like, and so this is the main question that we will kind of be carrying through, and Sri Krishna will be answering as we see in the upcoming verses. Does that make sense? All right. Is the slides helping? I really can't tell what's working and what's not. And also, it'd be great if no one annotates on the slides, draws on the slides, because I cannot take it down now. But yes, we can go ahead.
Okay, so we'll go to verse 3 then. So here Sri Krishna is going to respond. So you start with Sri Bhagavanu Vacha Lokasmin Dibhidhanishta Pura Prukta Maya Nagha Jnana Yogena Samkhyanam Karma Yogena Yoginam Lokasmin Dibhidhanishta Pura Prukta Maya Nagha Jnana Yogena Samkhyanam Karma Yogena Yoginam Lokesmin Dibhidhanishta Pura Prukta Maya Nagha Jnana Yogena Samkhyanam Karma Yogena Yoginam.
Okay, so this is Sri Krishna's first, this is when he starts replying to Arjuna. So he says, Sri Bhagavanu Vacha, so the Blessed Lord says, Lokesmin Dividanishta. He says, in this world, there are two kinds of steady paths, disciplines, right? So twofold of spiritual path. And then he says, so he doesn't say that there's only one. So he says there's two, and then which he will explain in the upcoming phrases. He says, Pura Prokta Maya Naga. He says, these were taught by me a long time ago, O sinless one. And then he says, Jnana Yogena Shankyanam. He says, the path of knowledge for the contemplatives, like who are inclined towards contemplating on such philosophies, or and like to analyze. So for them, he says, I have given the path of knowledge. And then he says, Karma Yogena Yoginam. He says the path of action for the active. So karma yogis. So the karma yoga part is, you could think, is for like us, people who live in the world, working, serving, acting, right? But as you remember from chapter 2, without attachment to our results, right? If we link it back to chapter 2 verse 47, is it? And another thing to note, it says karma yoga is yoga of action for yogis who combine detached work with devotion. Okay, so does that kind of make sense? So he's saying, I give you two spiritual paths here. One is the path of knowledge for Shamkas, and the other one is the path of action for yogis who want to, who are out there and active. Does that make sense? Yes? I can't see you guys nodding your head, so I'm gonna need some kind of reply. Okay, I'll take the silence as we're good. Any questions? No? Awesome. Let's go ahead to the next one. Yes. So, chapter 3, verse 4. Na karmana manarambhan nishkarmyam purushasnute na cha samyasana deva siddhim samadhi gacchati. Na karmana manarambhan nishkarmyam purushasnute na cha samyasana deva siddhim samadhi gacchati. Sorry guys, I'll break it up. Na karmana manarambhan nishkarmyam purushasnute na cha samyasana deva siddhim samadhi gacchati. One more time, so together. Okay. So na karmana manarambhan nishkarmyam purushasnute na cha samyasana deva siddhim samadhi gacchati. Are we good? Any questions regarding syllable breakups or any of that? No? Okay.
Okay, so there are two words that would like stand out to me because you have to journal, right? So like you guys usually choose like whatever like keywords that you want to like talk about and all that. So in this verse you see the word nashkarmyam and then samnyashana. So nashkarmya is the state, here it says the state of egoless, actionless, or spiritual passivity. And that has a relation to karma yoga. And then the other word is samnyasha, which is external abandonment. So samnyasha isn't like renouncing the world or like just leaving behind like the external world, not having desires for the external world. But here, Sri Krishna says that if someone doesn't perform action, if they don't do work, they don't gain the state of nashkarmya or spiritual passivity. And actually, if you just, even if you do abandon external desires, wants, understandings, he still doesn't attain to this idea of perfection. So here's Sri Krishna's trying to like clear up this misunderstanding that you can't also be considered trying to achieve perfection if you just renounce everything in a way, or if you don't act, if you don't do the work that is meant for you or your duty, you're not going to achieve what is called to be the perfection or like the potential that we're trying to achieve.
Yes. If it's okay, I want to add a little thing so it's kind of like more relatable. So you guys can, okay, think about like we can think about ourselves with kind of this verse. He's like, so now let's say you want to enjoy a quiet hour after you spend like all day at work, right? Like doing all the hard work and all and so on. And so the whole day you work, and then let's say in the evening you get some time to relax by doing meditation, right? Or other, let's say, spiritual practices. You enjoy it, right? The whole day you were, but then let's think the other way. Let's say the whole day you're lazy, no work to do, and you want to do the same. You want to enjoy that meditation. But do you think that's possible? Like, you won't have the same enjoyment in the meditation compared to when you had worked the whole day. So another way you can think about this is, let's say there's a person who's unemployed, right? And you go tell them, here, I give you a 1 month's holiday. Do you guys think that makes sense? Like, what is the use of the holiday for an unemployed person, right? An employed person can enjoy the holiday, right? After working and so on. But for many of us, let's say we haven't, like, as Arjuna is speaking here, we haven't really learned the lesson yet, right? It's like the real holiday enjoyment can kind of be experienced only after a period of hard work, right? So first karma, right? Then nashkarmya. So Sri Krishna is technically like referring to all of us here, especially the people in the world, right? So that all the enjoyment of actionlessness is only possible after we pursue the action, right? So after we express our energy in the work or the action we do. Does that make sense? I just want to like make sure you guys understand that karma has to come first, and then only can you be actionless, right? Does that make sense? Like it's not like you can just say, "Well, I'm not gonna do anything." That's also not the way out, right? Yes. I feel like this also reminds me of the Karmaneva Adhikaraste verse in chapter 2, where he was like, you have to do work. It's not like you can say you don't have to do work. Like it actionlessness is not the way to go. Does that make sense? Yes. Okay, great. Are we good to move on to the next verse? No? Yes? Okay, I guess we can move on.
Okay, so we'll move on to verse 5. Nahi kaschit shanamapi jatu tishthatya karma krit karyate hi avasha karma sarva prakriti jargunai. Okay, so two things. You see the fourth word, it starts with a K, but you don't sound out the K. Instead, you take the sound of the S, so it would be Shanam Api, okay? And then in the next line, you see Karyate, you have to say Hi Avasha together. So the Hi and the Avasha become one word when you read the verse. So let me break it apart. Nahi kaschit shanam api jatu tishthatya karma krit karyate hi avasha karma sarva prakriti jargunai. Nahi kaschit shanamapi jatu tishthatya karma krit karyate hi avasha karma sarva prakriti jargunai.
Okay. So here, Sri Krishna elaborates a little more on why we should be in doing karma out of, right. So he says, Nahi kashit shanam api. He says, indeed, no one, not even for a moment, right. He's making a like universal claim for that applies to everyone, right. He says, Nahi, surely not. Kashit, anyone. Shanam api, even for a single moment. He says, Jadu tishtitya karmakrit. He says, can remain without performing action. So the first two phrases together is saying, no one can stay even a moment without performing any type of work. And then he says, Karyate hyavasha karma. He says, one is compelled to act. Because we don't act by choice. We are compelled to act by the impulses of nature, right? And then he says sarva prakriti jai gunan. He says by the qualities of the nature, the gunas. So so together he's saying no one can remain even without action even for a moment, and everyone is forced to act by the qualities of nature, of the nature that they're born with. Does that make sense? So we can always go back to the ideas of the three gunas, right? That kind of drive what we do. Does anyone want to remind us of what those three gunas are? Go ahead.
The three gunas are tamas, sattva, and rajas.
Yes. Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. So, yeah, so these are kind of driving us to do what we, where we're compelled by these gunas, right? Um, let's say, think about it. Do you feel like you are ever actionless, like you are ever ideal without doing any karma at all? Can someone tell me one thing that we're always doing? You guys can unmute. I really can't tell who's raising their hand.
Breathing.
Yes. Even when we're sleeping, we're breathing. And do you have to think about, oh, I'm breathing right now. No, it's just going on, right? So, if you think about it, we're honestly never, we never remain actionless, even for a moment. Until, you can say until death, which is the point in time where you can say you have to stop doing action. Does that make sense? Or at least that's how I think about it. Yes, Driti, did you have a question?
I was just gonna say another thing we're doing was that we're blinking.
Yeah. That's also another thing we're doing. So, anything else? Anything you guys want to add on? Nothing? Well, I guess we'll move on. Is it my turn? Yes, okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Karmendriyani samyamya yaste manasa smaran indriyarthan vimuratma mithacharya sauchyate. Karmendriyani samyamya यास्ति मनसा स्मरन् इन्द्रियार्थान् विमूढात्मा मिथ्याचारः उच्यते कर्मेन्द्रियाणि संयम्य यास्ते मनसा स्मरन् इन्द्रियार्थान् विमूढात्मा मिथ्याचारः उच्यते. Just one thing, guys, when Oshri and I are chanting, like breaking it up, repeat, right? Repeat after us, so you guys can get the practice and learn the verses as we go. Does that make sense? Because even though we can't hear you, we can also kind of like see that if whether like you're saying it or not, right? Like your lips are moving. But more so than that, it's just so you get the practice as we are going through the verses and you get comfortable. Okay? Awesome.
So in this verse, Sri Krishna talks about a very interesting case. So Karmendriyani means organs of action. So remember we talked about the Gyanendriyas and the Karmendriyas in class. So here Sri Krishna is talking about the Karmendriyas. And so he's saying someone who restrains, samyamya, which is restraining, someone who restrains the organs of action, but in their mind, they continue to think of objects of senses, indriyarthan. They're considered someone who is a vimuratma, a deluded person, and a mithyachara, which is a hypocrite. So here Sri Krishna is saying that the person who says that they avoid kind of the organs of action, they don't do the work that they're supposed to be doing, they avoid it, but they think about objects of like sensual desire or like worldly objects, and it's constantly in their mind. And they're enjoying it through the perception of the mind because they're just constantly thinking about it. They're considered someone who is a deluded person, and they're called a hypocrite because you're basically contradicting yourself by saying that you're not doing the work, but technically you're thinking about it. So you're thinking about not doing the work, or you're thinking of just the desires that you have. You're completely contradicting yourself, and that's called being a hypocrite. So, yeah.
Anyone want to add on anything? Comments? Questions?
I feel like you
Analogies?
guys can say something about this, you know?
Like these are very, I wouldn't say simple verses, but they're very understandable from the first read. So you guys can always come up with analogies, which is a good thing. And yeah, and feel free to speak up and say whatever you guys want. It's, I would say it's more of a discussion than just me and Oshiri kind of teaching. It's never really like that. But yeah, anything to add on for this verse before we move on? Like you can definitely go into much more depth with each verse, no question at all. But we're just doing the surface level, like, oh, this is what the words are, this is what the meaning is of the Sanskrit verses. But if you guys want to delve deeper, feel free to let us know. Awesome. So verse 7.
Let's go to verse 7. Yastindriyani manasha niyamyarabhatarjuna karmendriyai karma yogam ashakta sa vishishyate. Yastindriyani manasha niyamyarabhatarjuna karmendriyai karma yogam ashakta sa vishishyate. Yastindriyani manasha niyamyarabhatarjuna karmendriyai karma yogam ashakta sa vishishyate.
Okay. So here, we kind of see Sri Krishna kind of saying, kind of like going into the question of like who is a karma yogi, right? Or who excels at this. So it says, Yastu indriyani manasa, right? So it says, that part is, but the one who controls the senses with the mind, right? And there's this niyamya the Arjuna. It says, O Arjuna, who begins to act. And it says, karmendriyai karma yogam. It says, through the action, through the organs of action performing karma yoga, asakta sa vishishyate. He's saying that unattached person is superior. So we can think about it like this. It's like Sri Krishna is kind of saying like, oh Arjuna, the person who in the yoga, who was busy, let's say, doing the yoga of action with the sense organs of action, but the person who does it with special yoga buddhi, right? Remember? That karma then becomes karma yoga, right? So not just simple action and so on. But so that action, the karma yoga, can elevate a person, let's say, spiritually. And then he says asakta, unattached, right? So the mind is not at all attached to these things. And therefore it can do things better and better. So he says asakta savishishyate. Such an unattached person is excellent, right? So here comes how we can excel in action. So this particular verse, we can see Sri Krishna listing it out as a niyamya is like disciplining indriyani, sense organs, manasa, by the mind, and then this idea of asakta savishishyate. Does that make sense? So you are doing all your work, but gradually developing this non-attached way of um, looking about the fruits of action. Any questions, concerns, comments? So he's saying that this person who does this is better than the the person who is hypocritical and has this false sense of renunciation that Oshri was talking about in the previous verse. So do you guys kind of see how Sri Krishna is kind of building off? He's saying in chapter verse 6, he's saying, oh, they suppress and are hypocritical, right? But in this verse, he's saying the other side of it. He's saying like you kind of integrate and use all your sense organs, but at the same time you're free. You are non-attached. Yes? Yes, all these three.
So I have a question, and
Yeah.
basically, I don't like, how do you say like the second line or verse 7, the first word of the second line?
Does it start with K? Is that the
No, it starts with M.
do you have the small Gita or the big Gita?
I have the small Gita.
Okay, so you're saying the second line.
Yeah.
It starts with N.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's it's a long word, but it would be, if you break it apart, niyam.
Niyam,
Now if you say niyam yara
Niyam Yara,
bhater juna.
Butter Juna.
So niyam yara
Niyam Yara,
bhater juna.
Butter Juna.
So like if you were reading it, technically it would be like two words. So it would be like niyam yara bhater juna.
Niyam Yara, Butter Juna.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Yeah, so if we're good, we can move on. Awesome. So verse 8. Oh yes, I keep on forgetting I'm chanting. Niyatam kuru karma tvam karma jyayo hyakarmanah sarira yatra pichate na prashidhyata karmanah. Niyatam kuru karma tvam karma jyayo hyakarmanah sarira yatra pichate na prashidhyata karmanah.
There's something wrong
Niyatam.
with the network. I mean, there's something wrong.
Say that again, Ishan.
There's something wrong. I can't hear you well.
You guys can hear me?
I can't hear you well.
Oh, okay. Do you want to try logging out and rejoining again to see if that works?
Wait, let me try my volume.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Great. Okay. So I will chant it one more time, okay? Niyatam kudu karma tvam karma jayo hya karmanah sarira yatra pichate na prashidhyata karmanah. Are we good? Okay.
So in this verse, Sri Krishna is talking about doing the duties that you're meant to do. So niyatam, in this verse is prescribed. So Sri Krishna is saying to perform kuru perform your prescribed duties. And he's saying here that action is superior or jaya than inaction. And if you're totally inactive, even the survival of the body or sharira yatra pichate, survival of the body would be impossible. So just like we talked about how you need to blink in order to survive, you need to breathe in order to survive. If you don't do any sort of action, including the two actions that you need in order to survive, you wouldn't be able to live. It would be impossible. So Sri Krishna is saying here that it is better to do the action that you are meant to do than to step back and not do any action.
Wait, I have a question. So, Krishna is basically saying that the body needs like action to like it needs action, but like he's also like saying that spiritually that that action purifies the body. Or
So your question is like about the second half of this verse, right? He's saying if you're totally inactive, even the survival of the body becomes impossible, right? So that part.
yeah,
Can
yeah.
you say that?
Like my
Question again?
question, I just have
Yeah.
like I just want to know like does Krishna say that like the body needs action, or does like he mean that spiritually that that action purifies the mind?
Um, hmm. So I think both ideas are true. So the body does need action, right? And so which he clearly says here, even the maintenance of the body would not be possible without action. But then the action also purifies the mind. But like that would, let's say if this is a superficial level, then this action purifying the mind would be like the deeper point that Sri Krishna is pointing out here, right? Which is right action with the right attitude does purify our mind, right? That is karma yoga. So which we kind of discussed in I believe this verse, right? So he's saying do your action but be non-attached. And such a person excels. And when he's saying excels, he's I think referring to the spiritual aspect of our lives. We excel in that sense. So the question is I'm not sure if everyone understood. He's saying, is Sri Krishna saying that the action, like activity, is it required for this body, like this deha, or is it more so that it keeps us spiritually fit, right? So it works for both ways, from my understanding. So it both keeps the body fit for survival, and all at the same time makes us spiritually fit. Does that make sense? To answer your question?
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. I know you said the answer like in the thing, but I also wanted to know like if it can like go the other way.
No, of course, yes. I may have said it, but it may not have been clear. But another good thing to do is always ask for clarification. And those are always good questions because someone could also have the same questions as you and they just don't speak up. But I'm glad you asked that question, Shagnik. It was a good point to be made. Anything else, guys? No?
Excuse me, I just want to clarify something.
Mhm.
In like the meaning for like verse 8, it says perform your prescribed duties. So like it just means like it just saying that like perform like necessary duties to like live, or like is it just saying like Arjuna to, or is he like meaning like Arjuna to like fight?
Okay. I think he's referring to one's swadharma, like the duty you're given. So for Arjuna, his duty would be to fight the battle of the Kshatriya, right? So that is the duty prescribed onto him. So our duty as of now is like we're students, right? So our duty is what? Studying, right? So we should perform our prescribed duties. Does that make sense?
Yeah, thank you.
That's how I understood it. Feel free to contradict me if you have other ideas. And assure if you want to add anything, of course.
I think just to add on to that, it's like when you think about like duty and like the karma that we have, like we're students, right? Our karma is to study. It's to have our education, to learn, and that's like the phase that we are at like right now. So when it comes to like Arjuna, it's kind of like the work that you have to do in your life. So it's kind of, it goes both ways, that Arjuna, because he's a Kshatriya, he has to fight in the war, but also just like the actions that he takes, it's like Sri Krishna like groups it all together into one. Okay.
Yep. Okay. So second to last verse.
Yes. Let's go to verse 9. Yagnarthat karmanonyatra lokoyam karma bandhanaha tadartham karma kunteya mukta sanga samachara. Yagnarthat karmanonyatra lokoyam karma bandhanaha tadartham karma kunteya mukta sanga samachara. Yagnarthat karmanonyatra lokoyam karma bandhanaha tadartham karma kunteya mukta sanga samachara.
Okay. So Yagnar tat karmano nyatra. Saying performing action not for personal gain, but as a sacrifice. And then he says, Loko yam karma bandhana. This world is bound by action. And then so if we refer back to verse 5, you can see him saying, like, even if we try to escape action, the world still works by action. That's the nature of it. And it says, Tadartam karma konteya. Therefore, O konteya, act for that purpose. Mukta sangha samachara. Act detached and free from any personal attachment. So if we put that all together, he's saying, O Arjuna, O son of Kunti, Konteya, right? He's saying all actions should be performed as an offering, right? Not for our selfish gains, for what we want. And we have to understand that this world is bound by action. So we have to act to maintain it, right? Or else we cannot be actionless. But we have to be careful that we do so in an unattached, in a detached manner, without having any personal attachments. Does that make sense? So it's like not a repetition, but he's just fleshing this idea out a little further as we go over the verses. So we, once again, referring back to verse, the karma nibya, it's like we have the right to do action, but not to the fruits of it. So we do our action, but we have to make sure and be careful that we're doing it without having any personal attachment in mind. Good? Did anyone else think about it differently? Any questions? Okay, we can move on. Last verse. Sahayagna praja srishtva puruvacha prajapatihi anena prashavishyadhyam eshavoshishtakamadhuk Sahayagna praja srishtva puruvacha prajapatihi anena prashavishyadhyam eshavoshishtakamadhuk सहायज्ञा प्रजाः सृष्ट्वा पुरुवाचा प्रजापतिः अनेन प्रशविष्यध्यम् एष वोशिष्ठकामधुक्. Are we good with the words, or do you guys need me to repeat anything? Are we good? Okay.
So in this verse, Sri Krishna kind of tells Arjuna where the background or like the basis of work comes from. So here he says that Prajapati or Brahma, who's the creator, he created men with yagna, which is selfless work dedicated to God or a Vedic sacrifice as their duty. So work was already assigned from the beginning when Brahma created the world. And with this as their duty, he declared, "By this shall you multiply. May this be to you the cow of plenty, yielding all your wants." So here he's saying that the cow of plenty is, in this case, work. And through work is where you can achieve whatever you want. So the process of action is like when you have an intention, you act on it, and then through that action you get what you want. So that was kind of the basis, the understanding that the selfless work dedicated to God or Vedic sacrifice, that was the actual true meaning of duty of the work. But over time that kind of changed, kind of got lost. But Sri Krishna here like tells Arjuna that basic understanding and the beginnings of what work was actually meant to be. Do any of you guys want to add on? It's just me and I'll do the talking. It would be nice.
Anything to add on? Any questions? Comments?
Excuse me, I have a question. It says that it says in the like the last line of the meaning, the cow of plenty. So like, what does that mean again?
So there's the cow named have you guys heard of Kamadhenu? The cow of plenty. So Kamadhenu is known as like the cow that like when you like make a wish, it comes true, Kamadhenu. But in this case, he's comparing Kamadhenu to like work, saying that the idea of work, the idea of duty, is what leads to you getting whatever you want. So it's kind of like an analogy that Sri Krishna is providing here of what work or duty is.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, just to add on, it's like in Indian culture, you can kind of see that the cow gives us so much, right? You can think of like it's a source of milk, butter, and a lot of variety of food, right? So symbolically, it represents like all the material and life-giving resources for us, right? So yagna, it kind of feeds the cow. So sacrifice or selfless action kind of keeps the world abundant, right? So that's what Sri Krishna is kind of symbolically referring to. He kind of personifies the abundance as like a gentle or nurturing being, which is the cow. Um, so yeah, he's just trying to make this abstract idea of karma and yajna a little more understandable um, with the example of the cow. That's also another way of thinking about it. So yeah, does that make sense to all of you? Any other questions? No.
Can you all see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Then we can get started. For now, everyone, I'm Sriyoshi, and we are Team 1. And we did Chapter 3, verses 1 and 2. And the team members in our team are Ridhi, Orko, Shagnik, Shatvik, Shashtika, Onurog, Abid, and me.
Anurag is there. Okay. All right.
So we'll start off with verse 1 chanting.
अर्जुनोवाच जयासि चेत् कर्मणस्ते मता बुद्धिर्जनार्दन तत् किं कर्माणि करिमां नियोजस्यसि केशव.
Arjuna,
Translation for verse 1 is that Arjuna said, Ganardana, if according to thee, discriminative insight is superior to action, why dost thou enjoin me on this terrible action of engagement in war?
Shagnik, if you can do the meaning, please.
the verse 1 meaning of chapter 3 means Krishna told him that knowledge and wisdom are important, but Krishna is also telling him to act and perform his duty as a warrior. If knowledge and wisdom is better, Arjuna questions why. Why Krishna pushes him into action and battle. This is very important because he is torn between being wise and doing his duty, which sets up the entire teaching of chapter 3.
Yes, and now we'll move on to chapter 3, verse 2 chanting.
Okay. Can we just hold on to that? Is it permissible to discuss a little bit? Okay.
Yes, of course, Uncle. Yes.
Okay. So the chapter, verse 1, as Shagnik was talking about. So the knowledge and okay. Yeah, I can see that. So knowledge and action. Okay. All right. I will keep it. I will keep it. Yeah. Okay. Go ahead, please continue. Because what Krishna said, I want to see that. Yeah. So,
व्यामिश्रेणेव वाक्येन भूरिमोहशिव तदेकं वद निश्चित्यतया येन श्रेयोऽहमप्युनम्.
Thank you, Riddhi. Now, chapter 3, verse 2 translation. So Arjuna said, O Janardhan, if you consider knowledge superior to action, then why do you ask me to wage this terrible war? My intellect is bewildered by your ambiguous advice. Please tell me decisively the one path by which I may attain the highest good. So Arjuna said, O Janardhan, if you consider knowledge... Oh yes, it's the same thing, just written twice. Yes. So now we can move on to the meaning.
In chapter 3, verse 2's meaning is Arjun is confused on what to do. In the previous chapter, I was saying a few ways of reaching the highest goal, and now Arjun questions on which path he should take to reach the supreme. And this is important because now Krishna will explain Karma Yoga in this chapter, which is doing one's duty with wisdom and dedication.
Yes, and that's the end of our slideshow. Thank you.
So, Uncle, do you want to discuss or?
okay. I will wait. Yeah. A little bit. Yeah.
So we should move on to the next group.
Right.
Okay. So group 2. Group 2, you guys can go ahead.
Yeah. You are muted.
I think Shudipta just needs a minute. So is it okay if we wait a minute, or do you want to move on to the next group?
Maybe next group is better.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's 10:54 now. 55.
Okay. So group 3 can go ahead, and then we'll return to group 2. So is it Kushan who made a slide?
Niloy is presenting.
Okay, Neela, go ahead. Let me know if you need help.
How do I share my screen?
Yes. Are you able to, or do you know how to?
Okay, good. Yeah, I think he's sharing now. Very good.
Three.
Verse 5. Nahi kasit sanamapi Gatutishyatin normakrit Karyate hiyavashamha Karma sarva padartana.
Okay, one more time, because you pronounce twice karma, right? Okay, one more time.
Nahi kasit sanamapi Gatutishyatin normakrit Karyate hiyavashamha Sarva prakriti jirguna.
Okay, good. Yeah.
So, verse 5 of chapter 3 is basically telling us something very practical about life. Krishna explains that, no person can stay without action even for a single moment. Even if we think we're doing nothing, our body is still breathing, our mind is still thinking, and our senses are still reacting to things around us. Basically, in other words, action is always happening. And also, Krishna is trying to help us understand that spiritual growth is not just about, sitting still or avoiding responsibilities. Instead, he's saying that what really matters is how we act and the intention behind our actions. So, the main idea from this verse is that since action is unavoidable, we should learn to act in the right way with awareness, discipline, and with a sense of purpose.
Okay, please go ahead. The next one.
Verse 6. Karmendriyani samyamya yaste manasha smaran indriyartan vimudatma nityachara sauchyate.
Very good.
So, verse 6 kind of builds on what Krishna explained from the last verse. He says that, like, someone who controls their body and pretends to have given up on action, but still, keeps thinking about desires and pleasures in their mind, is fooling themselves. On the outside, they might look calm or disciplined, but inside, their mind is still restless and attached. Krishna is pointing out that real self-control is not about what we do physically. It's about things like controlling our thoughts and intentions. Basically, this verse teaches us that pretending to be detached is not the real spirituality. True discipline comes when both the body and mind are trained, and when your actions are honest and sincere.
Okay, so that was group 3. Are you
Very
guys
good.
done? Yes. Now we will go back to group 2. So, Shudipta will be presenting. So, Niloy, if you can unshare your screen, just go to the top. Yeah, good. Go ahead. Yeah.
All right. Do you guys see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay. So my group was doing verses 3 to 4, and in my group it was me, Ridita, Prina, Artrit, and Bitushmita. So
Yeah, where is Suparno today?
He's in another group, Uncle.
I'm
Oh,
here.
he's four groups. Oh, I see, I see. Okay. I thought three groups. Yeah, okay.
Okay, so Brina's gonna read the first verse, verse 3.
Shrivagavanuvacha Lokesmin Dividanista Pura Prakta Mayanaka Yana Yogena Samkhyanam Karma Yogena Yoginam.
And then Bidishmita is gonna explain the verse.
So, Krishna says there are two ways to grow spiritually. Some people do it by learning and thinking deeply, while others do it by doing their duties. Since everyone is different, each person should follow the path that fits them. And for Arjuna, it's action.
Please move on.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Okay, Arjun's gonna chant verse 4.
Yeah. Put the birds for the screen. Yeah.
Do you guys not see the screen?
I see the screen is still birds 3. Yeah,
Oh.
now it's 4.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry.
Okay.
Na karmanam anarabhan naishkarmyam purusnute na cha sanchanat eva siddhim shamati gacchati.
All right, so here Sri Krishna is saying that doing nothing isn't really possible, right? So even if you try to avoid responsibilities, like just life will still require you to act in some way, whether it's like eating, working, learning, or taking care of people. So instead of avoiding action, the right way to approach it is to do your duty properly without selfish motives. And when you act this way, you don't work. Your work doesn't trap you in stress or guilt. It will help you grow spiritually. And an example we can think as a student is like, even if you don't study for an exam, right, you can't avoid it completely because like the test will still happen and you'll still have to face it. So if you skip studying, you'll just like struggle and feel more stressed. But if you study properly, you'll focus on understanding the material instead of just trying to get a good grade and just moving on. So you'll feel more confident and feel better about doing it. So this is exactly what like Sri Krishna was saying, that life requires action. So the key is to do your duty properly without thinking about the rewards. All right, so that will conclude our presentation. Thank you.
Very good. All right. So next group.
Okay, and then group 4, I believe, is Suparno.
Yeah, I'm just gonna share my screen.
Awesome.
Can you guys see it?
Yeah.
Yes, okay. So we're group 4. We did chapter 3, verses 7 and 8. We had a little bit of a bigger group. We had Aditri, Shanat, Shuparna, Sharthak, Shivam, and Mayuk. Sharthak's microphone isn't working, so he won't be able to read off the slides. So we probably won't be hearing from him from our presentation.
Okay.
So I would like Aditri to read off verse 7, if that's possible.
So, I'm going to be reading chapter 3, verse 7 from the Bhagavad Gita, and that is Yastvindrirani manasa niyamyara batrarjuna karmendriya karma yogam akata savishis akat asa
Ashakta.
ashakta savishishyate.
Thank you, Aditri. Now I'd like Mayuk to read the first half of the key points for verse 7.
Controls all sense organs, nose, ears, mouth, eyes, skin. Control must come from own personal will. Control cannot be forced. Combination of all of these traits will allow for the individual to attain to God much faster.
Okay.
Thank you, Mayuk. Now Charlotte will read the second part of the key points.
We can think of it like driving. When driving, you must control your senses of sight, hearing, and touch. Driving cannot be forced on somebody, or else the driver cannot run the car properly. Therefore, it is necessary to have balance of all these things at the same time to be successful in driving.
And we can connect this to the same way we have to attain God, as Per Sri Krishna said in this verse, where we need to control our sense organs. Same way when we're driving, we're controlling the gear shifter, the wheel, and then we need to keep our eyes on the road to make sure we don't swerve off the path. And sort of like the same sort of effect applies to attaining God, whereas we need to find a balance amongst all of these things to attain to the Supreme. Next we also did verse 8. So Shivam will be reading off verse 8, and then Oishani will be reading the key topics of verse 8, sorry. So Shivam, you can read off the verse.
नियतं कुरु कर्म त्वं कर्म ज्यायो ह्यकर्मणः शरीरायत्रपि चाते न प्रसिद्ध्यायेद कर्मणः.
Shivam, can I see you? If you turn on, okay, that's Shivam. Okay, very good. All right.
Okay, Oishani, you can read off the key topics.
Add on form verses 7. How
Verse 8.
No, it's adding on from verse 7.
Oh, adding from us. Yeah, I see.
performing prescribed duties for Arjuna, that means to fight in the war. This is because action is better than inaction. If no action performed, survival becomes impossible. Action can include doing your right as assigned duty, exercise, eating healthy. If body is maintained properly, mindset is also maintained, allowing the attainment of God.
Thank you, Oishani, and that concludes our slideshow. Thank you.
Yes, and last but not least, we have Group 5. And Unmish, are you sharing?
No, actually, someone else has made the presentation for this.
Awesome.
I'm going to be sharing.
Great. Let me know if you need any help.
Can everybody see my screen?
It's coming. Yeah.
Okay. Yes, we see it now.
Okay.
So we are group 5. We're gonna do verses 9 to 10, and then our group you have Adia, Sharika, Eshan, Arobi, Arshi, and Unmesh.
So I'm reading verse 9. यज्ञार्थात् कर्मणोऽन्यत्र लोकोऽयं कर्मबन्धनः तदर्थं कर्म कौन्तेय मुक्तसङ्गसमाचर. And the translated meaning: O son of Kunti, in this world, all actions, unless they are done as an offering to God or as yajna, become cause of bondage. Therefore, work for the sake of God without personal attachments.
Essentially, we interpreted this meaning as that Krishna is saying that unless if action is done with selfish purpose or any selfish desire, it will only root you further in delusion, anger. It will only root you further in samsara, making you unable to truly achieve God. Therefore, in order to be able to achieve realization of God, you must be careful to not have any personal attachment when any action you perform.
Okay, I hear you, but we can discuss it in next class. Yeah.
Okay, so I'll be saying the meaning, and it is Shaha Yajna Praja Shristva Puruvacha Prajapati Anena Pravashishwatyam Yashavashtishtakamuduk. And the meaning is, in the beginning Prajapati, having created men together with Yajna, selfless work dedicated to God or Vedic sacrifice as their duty, declared by this shall you multiply, may this be you the cow of plenty yielding all your wants.
What we thought about the meaning is that when men were created, they were given the duty to perform selfless action to God. Selfless action would be lead to rewards with all their desires or wants.
Okay. All right.
So that concludes all the presentations for today. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you for enriching the understanding. So we'll talk about it. So you're now 11 minutes past. Okay, one thing I think everyone is here. I want to have your kind of like consent about. Can you guys hear me? Yes, everyone can hear me? Okay. So is this possible to change the online timing towards like a afternoon or late afternoon?
Yes. Okay.
And instead of 9 o'clock, let's say we could do like 5 to 7 or something like that, or 4 to 6. Does it work?
Not for me.
Yes, go ahead.
I have to go somewhere every Saturday from 3 to 6.
Okay, so it's not. So then okay, then you don't have to, because I have a couple of students. They have their coaching in the morning, so they said
Yeah,
they cannot attend it. Yes,
we have it 2:30 to 5 o'clock. Yeah.
5 o'clock. Or is it possible to do like a, because in the evening everyone has their own kind of like, you have the maybe mandir prayer and other prayers also is very difficult after 5. Okay, then we'll keep it whatever we have now. Okay, yeah. Just I wanted to check with you. Yeah. So it's good. 9 o'clock is good, and you're still getting up early in the morning. Like it's keeping the keeping the action moving always, right? Otherwise, you will be acting. You will not be out of action. You will be dreaming. Means you are all in action. Okay. All right, guys. So I think it's very interesting. The observation and also the interpretation, those who, and some of the analogy you wanted to, some of you already placed. I think it's something we can discuss. Okay. There's only two things, the nivritti mark and pabritti mark. So we'll discuss it about that. There are two paths in action. One is the nivritti, other one is the pabritti. Okay. So both are, you cannot just, say which one is the superior. Both is good. Someone wants to go a couple of rounds and then get out. Someone wants to go first round, get out. Okay, both are fine, but you have to make sure that you are getting towards kind of like goal, like Yavatmanandaji said last time. Make sure you are facing towards goal, not opposite way. So your actions should lead you towards kind of like ultimate goal, which is the goal post or whatever soccer field he gave an example. So this is what we have to be always alert. Okay, thank you so much allowing me, to listen to you. Thank you so much. I pranam to everyone. Okay, so I think that's a concluding prayer. Kana, may I do it? Concluding prayer? Yes? Okay. All right, everyone ready? Concluding prayer? Yes? भूमिमङ्गलं भूमिमङ्गलम् उदकमङ्गलम् अग्निमङ्गलं वायुमङ्गलं गगनमङ्गलं सूर्यमङ्गलं चन्द्रमङ्गलं देहोमङ्गलं मनोमङ्गलं जीवमङ्गलं आत्ममङ्गलं सर्वमङ्गलं भवतु सर्वमङ्गलं भवतु ॐ शान्ति हरि ओम तत्सत् श्रीमाचरणार्पणमस्तु।